Hello and welcome back. It's your bearded brothers back here. I am definitely wearing pants today, Matt.
I'm not wearing pants, but I'm wearing shorts.
And we are your bearded brothers and back yet again with yet another sports podcast. Oh boy, that was a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happened.
It happened. I don't know what else to say much about it except it happened. Lots of injuries. Maybe not lots, but definitely several injuries.
Some injuries.
One that
Lots to talk about.
Lots to talk about. Mainly like, fuck the refs.
Well, just a lot of things. Like, some games were weird. There was the whole thing with Staley that I want to talk about, too, and his absolute breakdown.
That fucking press conference.
There's that I want to talk about. There's some games that just are, like, really weird that I want to talk. There's just a lot of things to talk about.
There are quite a few things to
talk about. And it wasn't
about.
Necessarily because it was good football, and that's what makes it so much worse.
There's definitely, like... I think, to me, the Texans game was probably one of the more interesting stories, because so far this year, the Texans have had needed Stroud to be basically Stroud
Superman
in order to win. This time he wasn't, and they still won.
Their defense really stepped up big.
Oh, yeah, and that's what I wanted to talk about, is all of a sudden their defense was amazing.
That's one of those things where, yeah, when we get to it, it's going to be one of those things where, like, Texans making playoffs with a good defense, if they stay alive, like if they still continue playing like that,
they're going to make some noise.
And Stroud continues playing good, like that's a mean machine right now. I'm not lying.
As long as he stays healthy, they're probably going to be a wild card team. I don't think they're going to overtake Jacksonville to win the division this year.
Probably not, but
that's going to be watching him versus Trevor Lawrence for the years to come. That's going to be so much fun.
That's going to be good.
It's going to be so much fun.
If you're a Texans fan, you got a lot to look forward to for the next couple
years. If you are a Houston Texans fan, you should be stoked.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely stoked.
Or as Grossi likes to call them, the Strouds.
The Strouds.
They are the Strouds.
There is no Texans. There is only Stroud.
There's only Strouds.
All right. So let's start off. Let's talk injuries. And then we'll move into some of the weird crap that happened. I also want to talk. There's a couple of MLB signings I think that are worth talking about at the very minimum.
Okay.
So we'll do that, and then we'll move into games for the week. So the big ones: Joe Burrow out for the season, torn wrist ligament.
I thought it was torn wrist ligaments. I thought it was plural.
I know it's at least one. I do not know how many.
I could have sworn that they made it plural when they announced it. So that's basically... I don't know how you come back from that, to be honest with you. Like, I'm sure they can. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure they can come... Like, it's one of those things in my brain. Like, if it's more than one ligament, like, especially in your throwing hand, I don't see how you even make a comeback at all. Like, that's... Like... It just feels like that's going to be really tough to come back from.
If I was going to guess, they'll move something. They'll Tommy John a little bit. They'll move.
They'll have to.
They'll move a ligament from his elbow over here into his wrist here, and they'll probably, if it's more than one, they can take another ligament out of his wrist here and move it over here.
They could. It's just you just wonder how much of it is he going to still be able to play to that high level kind of thing, or is he going to have to be more restrictive? I hope not. I hope that it's, something that easily can
medical
come back
science
from,
is amazing. Who knows? Maybe they'll put in some artificial ligaments.
They could. It's just in my brain. I'm just like, I don't know how you fully recover from something like that. Fully 100% be like back to natural. Like, you could be even 90%. We can rebuild him.
Make him
better. We
can
make him stronger. Yeah, better. And we're not quite there yet.
No, not yet. But one of these days. Mark Andrews, same game. Injured, fractured tibia, ankle ligament damage. They are saying there is a chance he comes back this season. I don't think so.
I don't see it.
I don't see
not
it
unless
either.
it's playoffs. Like if it's for playoffs, maybe, but not regular season.
Yeah, no.
I think he's out regular season.
I think he's definitively out regular season. Maybe comes back for the playoffs, but I don't even know that the Bengals.
It depends on.
I don't even. Well, the
ligament.
Ravens will definitely make the playoffs. So.
Oh yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
So
they'll make
maybe
playoffs.
he comes back for like the final couple rounds of the playoffs. Like if they make it far enough to get into like the AFC
Like the
championship game, maybe he's back for that.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson found out that he has a broken bone in his throwing shoulder that required surgery, and he is now done for the season.
Man, Browns, you must really love that contract you gave him, don't you?
That has to be, in my opinion,
That's gonna be one of the worst
trades. Yeah. It doesn't quite compare to the Great Train Robbery. And the only other one that, in my opinion, even comes close was when the Niners traded up with the Dolphins to get Trey Lance. Because...
That wasn't great, but I feel like this was worse because they had to sink money
do you know what
also.
the Dolphins turned that into?
No, I know what they turned it into. I'm just saying that, like, as far as the 49ers, it's like they had to give up a little bit for sure, but the Browns had to give up a lot and pay him a shit ton of money. Like, I feel like that's worse.
Oh, yeah. Well, they didn't have to pay him all that money, but
they did.
They did, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. That's why that deal is worse.
The Dolphins turned that into Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and Bradley Chubb. I think they're very happy with that deal.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Then Talona Hufanaga, 49ers safety. He is an all-pro safety. He blew out his ACL, and he is done for the season. Joey Bosa. The only thing I've been able to find out about Bosa is that he is probably going to go on IR. And that he has a foot... It is not a fracture, it is just a sprain. Supposedly. Nobody... That's the only update I've been able to find on him.
For all we know, there could be a crack somewhere or something. It's not necessarily...
but as of right now, it looked very scary. He looked like he was about ready to cry.
Oh, yeah, he looked like he was in a lot of pain.
Yeah, he looked very unhappy, and like he was in a lot of pain. Like, he knew that there was something seriously wrong when it happened. We'll have to find out if that evolves further. But as of today, there was no further news on that. And the other person there was no further news on was Aaron Jones, who looked like he seriously effed up his knee. They are pretty sure, and the only thing I've been able to find on this, is they are pretty sure that he's avoided the ACL tear. And he probably is only out this week because they play Thursday against the Lions. He probably will not have enough time to come back for that, but he should be back the following week.
That's the hope anyways, yeah.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Who was the player that got driven off the field in an ambulance? There was a player that got driven off the field in an ambulance. Did you not see that?
No.
Yeah.
Didn't see that
there was a player that got driven off the ambulance. I thought it was this week. Might have been last week, but I thought it was this week. The problem is I just don't remember what game it was even in. So, like, trying to look it up is going to be, like, almost impossible. Let me see if I can do just a quick search and see if I can find it. Bill Safety Taylor Rapp.
Yeah.
Moving hands. Seen moving hands while he was being loaded into an ambulance. So there you go.
So
they must have thought that he had a major head injury.
Yeah, they thought he had a head and neck injury.
Yep.
But as far as we can tell, I haven't heard any news on that update either.
Yeah, but Rapp was transported off the field in an ambulance after suffering a neck injury late in the second quarter. Avoided being transported to the hospital and is resting at home. So there you go.
Yeah, so it's not as serious as what initially was thought.
No, it was definitely a neck injury. He went down and apparently wasn't moving great, but as they were loading him in the ambulance, he was seen moving his hand, so they were worried about spine injury, obviously.
All right, do you want to talk about the Staley thing here? Do we want to save that for the game talk area? I don't care either.
I mean, let's. You know what? Let's talk about each of those events as we bring up the games. And
okay.
I think that'll be more entertaining that way.
It's an absolutely hilarious press conference.
Yeah, we'll talk about it once we get to that game.
Of course I call the damn plays!
God, he was... Honestly,
so mad.
When we get there, I have so much to say about that because it's a
We
clear
should
sign of
probably
things
bring
that are
up
coming.
news about coaches then. You can no
Huh?
longer
Oh,
blame
yeah.
you can no longer blame Canada because Matt
Canada's
Canada
gone.
has been fired.
Canada's
Sadly,
finally
they did
gone.
not fire him into the sun, but Canada has been fired. He is
So
gone.
have they announced who's going to be stepping into that role or who's going to be calling the offense?
Let me find out because it was a big news story today.
Yeah, I was going to say I feel like that's important to know is who's
Whoa,
stepping into it
whoa! We
or
have
who's
breaking
calling.
news.
Well,
Two
apparently
pieces
you do.
of breaking news.
Apparently you do.
I do, yes.
Hasn't shown up on my phone yet.
Colts waive all-pro linebacker Leonard.
I saw that one. Yep.
Yeah, and Saints wide receiver Thomas lands on the IR with a knee injury.
That one I didn't see. That one's
Yep.
Okay. Oh, yep, I see it here now. Yep.
Yep.
Interesting that the Colts waived Shaq Leonard though.
Yeah, they could have
He's
traded
pretty
him.
good.
Well, they couldn't trade him right now, but you could have held on to him
but
until the end of the
he's
season.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey Vikings, you should make some phone calls.
Let's see here. As far as I can tell, they haven't. That's Tomlin taking credit for the firing, saying it was his decision.
Thank God.
Apparently Rodgers is jogging.
Yeah, we kind of already heard about that though. He's pegging a December return, so
yeah,
we'll
that's the week 16 is what I heard.
Yeah, I don't remember a specific date. I just remember him saying he wanted to be back in December, but we'll see. I'm surprised that they haven't, because the one thing, like, I get that them not having another offensive coordinator announced yet, but I thought for sure they would be like, okay, this is who's calling the plays at least. Like,
they have promoted running backs coach Eddie Faulkner.
Okay.
To offensive coordinator.
All right, I guess we'll see how you do, bud. You're a complete
it'd
unknown
be hard
in my
to
book.
do worse.
You're a complete unknown. Good luck. Don't make Kenny Pickett look like a shithead.
Let's find out who he is. Eddie Faulkner. Let's see here. He has coached running backs at Anderson, Indiana, Ball State. He was also the offensive coordinator at Ball State. Northern Illinois running backs coach. Pittsburgh running backs coach. Wisconsin tight ends coach. NC State tight ends fullback special teams coordinator. Then he was the running back coach for the Steelers from 2019 to 2023. And he's the now interim offensive coordinator and running backs coach. He played college at Wisconsin and was undrafted in 2001.
Okay, well, still doesn't really answer. I guess we'll see what you can do. I mean, he's obviously...
After his college career was over, he signed a pro contract with the Steelers before going to play for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Okay. Basically, all that tells me is he's a guy that's been around the offense a while. I guess we'll see what happens. That doesn't necessarily mean he'll be a good offensive coordinator. It doesn't mean he won't be a bad one. We just won't really know.
Yeah,
he really
this
hasn't
is really
done
his first
it a lot.
big role.
Yeah.
If you look at it.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Is it's very clear that this is his first real big opportunity anyways. So we'll see.
But yeah, that's the big news is Matt Canada has been axed. He will not be returned. Well, hopefully nobody actually wants him on their sidelines.
Hey, I mean, some teams are real desperate. You never know. At least not for offensive coordinator. That he might be a good coach in something else, but not as a caller anyways. Don't let him be a play caller. As long as he ain't play calling, maybe he's fine. I don't know.
All right, so real quick, we got some MLB news because it's obviously hot stove time. Free agency is a buzz.
Fair enough.
So the big one right now is that Aaron Nola has returned to the Phillies on a 7-year massive deal. He's a pitcher. He started with the Phillies. He's been there the entire time. He tested the waters in free agency and then decided he wanted none of it. And immediately re-signed with the Phillies. Lance Lynn is going back to the Cardinals on a 1-year deal. The Atlanta Braves have landed Reynaldo Lopez. And Kyle Gibson is headed over to the Cardinals as well on a 1-year, $12 million deal. We're still waiting on Ohtani and a few others.
Yeah,
and then, of course, the negotiating rights to the other big Japanese phenom that's coming now.
Of course.
Of course. All right. Outside of that, that's pretty much the news that I have. Do you have any news?
Not that I heard.
Oh. Well, we'll talk about that in the game. The suspension.
Oh, yeah. We'll get there.
We'll get there. All right. Let's start the week off. Pow! Give me numbers. And we will start with Thursday night's game. Bengals at Ravens. We both picked the Ravens. We were both correct. Ravens win 34-20. That was actually, for a little bit there, that was a goodly played game. And
yeah. And then Burrow went down, and then everything fell apart.
Burrow went down, and everything fell apart.
That was the part that made me sad.
Burrow, 11 of 17 for 101 yards and a touchdown. Mixon, 16 carries, 69 yards. Hudson, 4 receptions, 49 yards. On the Ravens side, Lamar, 16 of 26, 264, 2 touchdowns. Gus Edwards, 12 carries, 62 yards, 2 touchdowns. Beckham Jr., 4 receptions, 116 yards. Now, I will say, Jake Browning looked decent in relief.
He looked okay.
8 of 14, 68 yards and a touchdown.
He's no Burrow, though, so it's like...
No, definitely not Burrow, but he's manageable. The problem is they don't have enough without Burrow to drag them to the playoffs. Their defense isn't good enough, and their run game isn't good enough to step it up.
Nope.
So, Lamar Jackson also had 9 rushes for 54 yards. They couldn't stop him when he decided to take off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, sadly, I think that pretty much ends the Bengals season this year. I don't expect them to win many more games. Mm-hmm. They'll probably win a couple against bad teams, but outside of that, I think they're pretty much finished. Which means if they only have, I think they only have 5 wins, they're going to have a decent draft pick this year. I don't know what they'll use it on.
Another wide receiver, running back. O-line.
I mean, they could do wide receiver because you could let Higgins go without consequences.
Mm-hmm. Potentially get another one, or you could shore up your defense a little more.
Shore up your defense, get another cornerback because there's a lot of cornerbacks in this draft, or there's going to be a couple of really good offensive tackles as well. So, really depends on what you want to do.
They could use a little bit of everything in my mind, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they're not bad at any one position, but there are definitely some positions where they could use some shoring up.
A little extra help.
Yeah. All right. Moving along. Steelers at Browns. We both picked the Browns. We were both correct. Browns pull out the victory, 13-10.
That was way too close.
Oh, that was a defensive nightmare game.
Yeah.
Because we didn't find out until before the game that Watson wasn't going to play. So they started DTR.
He did okay.
He did okay. He could have done better. He could have done way worse. They have signed Joe Flacco
to the practice squad.
Yes, but I think they're gonna give him some time to run up and see if he can't. Give him a couple of weeks. I don't think so.
I just don't get it.
I just don't
get it. Flacco? Really? Flacco?
Flacco?
Flacco.
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 Flacco?
Like, I'd rather run DTR than Flacco, to be honest with you. Unless somehow he has, unless he just has a resurgence all of a sudden,
And I mean, let's be honest. Running DTR means that you get to see what the rookie has. And if he looks halfway decent, somebody is going to offer you for him.
Either that or, I mean, if you don't want to stick with Deshaun for long term,
I don't know. They have.
I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do with that. Well, I mean, you just throw him on your bench, pay him, and then just have the rookie play. I mean,
yeah, but that's a real.
It wouldn't look good, but
huge waste of money.
It would be, but at the same time, he is a huge waste of money. So
currently, yeah. Kenny Pickett, 50-28, 106 yards.
As much as I want, so many people have been shitting on Pickett, and I get it, but at the same time, with how bad the play calling was, let's see what happens with a new play caller.
I'd like to see what happens with a new play caller as well. Warren, 9 carries, 129 yards and a touchdown. Najee Harris may just lose his job, but all of that came on a 74-yard scamper. So
yeah,
I'm not entirely sure what I think about that. Pickens, 4 catches, 38 yards. On the other side, DTR, 24 of 43. If you have to throw the ball 43 times, I'm not sure that's good. You're still only completing about half of them. That's
not really his fault, though. That's play calling.
Yeah.
If they're calling for him to throw it 43 times as a rookie, that's kind of on the play calling.
165 and a pick. Kareem Hunt, 12 carries, 36 yards. Also, they don't have Chubb right now. So
they don't have Chubb either. Though Hunt's doing fine.
Hunt's doing acceptably.
That's why I said fine. He's doing fine.
And E.J. Moore, 6 receptions, 60 yards. Yeah, Pickett was sacked 3 times for 29 yards. They just... Najee Harris carried 12 times for 35 yards. I mean, DTR did take off 3 times for 20 yards, so he looked decent running the ball when he got out of the pocket.
Yeah.
They split carries pretty equally between Hunt and Ford, 12 carries apiece. Hunt got 36, Ford got 31 in the touchdown. Elijah Moore, 6 for 60. Njoku, 7 for 56. Cooper, 4 for 34. Myles Garrett got 2 sacks.
Because that's what he does.
Because that's what Myles Garrett does. So, I mean, like I said, I think the Browns' defense is good enough that it's going to drag them kicking and screaming to a playoff spot.
Probably.
I don't think they're going to win their division, but they'll probably be a wild card.
Especially, honestly, at this point, it has to be the defense that drags them, because when you're running basically a backup QB rookie on top of it, that offense ain't moving the ball very much. It's just not.
No, it probably... And if they had Chubb, I'd say it would be Chubb and the defense that'll carry them into a playoff.
Yeah.
But without, you don't have Chubb, you don't have Watson. What do you got left on the offense? Nothing. So that defense has to drag that team to a championship, to a playoff spot.
To a playoff spot, yeah. And even then, it's starting to look like maybe that's going to be a little harder than they thought.
Yeah, I agree. Moving along, another game that was actually really good and much better than it had any right to be. Cardinals at Texans. We both picked the Texans. We were both right. Texans win 21-16, but Stroud didn't look very great.
He still looked good.
He looked good. But
he definitely didn't look... He wasn't like the previous games where he's like, my God, exceptional. This
27 of 37, 336, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks.
That's the part that hurts.
That's the part that was like, whoa, what? Yeah, the Cardinals came to play. And Murray actually looked really good.
Yeah, he looked pretty good.
Outside of one really bad interception again. Which he, again, took responsibility for. He came back to the sideline. He started talking with the coach. He talked with the other guy, and he was like, look, that one's on me. I shouldn't have made that throw. I wasn't watching the lurker.
Yep.
this is not the Murray from last season.
No, this is definitely somebody who's taken a little more time away from football, possibly during his offseason, during his injury, and probably re-leveled himself a bit.
Reasserted himself, figured out who he is. Yeah. I'll
what
tell you, one of, and I don't remember, it was C.J. Stroud. Stroud asked Tom Brady how he kept himself focused on everything all the time, and Stroud told him, Brady told him, the thing that you're gonna have to realize, and it's the best thing I'll ever share with you, is this is now your job.
Yeah, exactly.
For all these other people, it's great that they know a football player or that they can come watch you play, but you're not playing. It's your job. You need to treat it as a job.
Well, did you also see his Stroud's response to? I think there was a question. I don't remember if it was a reporter or if it was one of those online questions, but someone asked him like, how do you keep playing after throwing those picks? And his response was, I don't get rattled. It doesn't bother me.
It's your
job. I just keep playing. It's my job. I made a mistake, and that's okay, and I'm just going to keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. You can't dwell on the mistake. You have to be able to move past it. And I think that shows a maturity level, too. Like, he's asked...
Well, especially for a rookie, like, that's nuts.
My favorite thing about him is that he has asked all the right questions of the people that he's been allowed to be in contact with. He has asked the smart questions. Not, hey, so how did you throw this? Or what is this play? Or what do you consider your favorite moment? Or anything like that. He's asked, like, how did you manage to keep your focus? That's a smart question.
Well, there's that. How do you stay in the league long term? How do you take care of yourself during the off season?
All of these are things that he's asked.
And it's one of those things that I see somebody like that who's a rookie, and frankly, all I see is a kid that's got major future unless like an injury, barring some type of horrific injury, right? Like, this is clearly somebody who's very young, but very wise beyond his age, and is probably the prime example of this is what a quarterback does. This is the job. This is what they should be doing.
Yeah.
He obviously loves football. He's obviously a football enjoyer, but he also understands that this isn't just about my enjoyment of football. It's also, how do I stay long term as a job in this as well? So, to me, that's just like, hugely impressive for somebody so young.
And I think the part about this game that I found, this game almost went the other way.
It almost did for a bit, yeah.
There was a point, Murray just missed Hollywood on a deep throw, just overthrew it a touch. Had he taken a little off of that, and Hollywood caught it, he was behind the defense. That was gone.
Oh, yeah.
And that would have been a massive touchdown as well. Such a good game. I
feel like that happened in a couple of games, to be honest. But
but stats-wise, Kyler Murray, 20 of 30, 214, a touchdown and a pick. He also ran one in for a touchdown. Connor, 14 carries, 62 yards. Greg Dortch, 6 receptions, 76 yards. C.J. Stroud, 27 of 37, 336, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, as we mentioned. Singletary, 22 carries, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Looks like last week wasn't a flash in the pan.
Yep.
Looks like he's got some skill. And, of course, Tank Dell, who has quickly become the number one receiver in Houston. 8 receptions, 149 yards, and a touchdown.
It's actually kind of a dual system between Nico Collins and Tank Dell. They're almost equal wide receiver 1 and 2. It's crazy.
Yeah,
they're almost both wide receiver 1.
Really good. Murray did run 7 times for 51 yards in that touchdown. Rondale Moore only caught 1 ball, but it was for 48 yards and a touchdown. Brown was targeted 5 times, only came down with 2 of them. Over on the Texans side, Nico Collins, 7 receptions, 65 yards. Woods had 5 for 44. C.J. Stroud did not actually run the ball at all. But yeah, overall, this was a well-played game, and it was the Houston defense that carried them through.
Yep.
I was quite happy with that game. It was fun to watch. Moving along. Titans at Jags. We both picked the Jags. We were both correct. Jags squished the Titans to move to 7-3. 34-14. They drub the shit out of them. Will Levis actually did not look bad.
Yeah.
13 of 17. 158 and 2 touchdowns.
I mean, he did fine for what they asked him to, but it just wasn't enough, like.
Yeah, part of that though was.
I mean, that's more play calling, not really necessarily him.
Well, also Derrick Henry 10 rushes for 38 yards. Second week in a row where you've just been like, where were you? What happened? Especially when Chris Moore gets one rush and he goes 38 yards with it.
Oh, I know. That's
that end around.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins, 4 receptions, 59 yards. Chris Moore only had 1 catch for 49 yards. Yeah. Levis did lose a fumble, as did Eric Garrer. Over on the Jaguar side, Lawrence, 24 of 32 for 262 and 2 passing touchdowns. He also ran 5 times for 17 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Etienne carried 14 times for 52 yards. Calvin Ridley, 7 receptions, 103 yards, and the recipient of both touchdown passes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Man, that's the Jacksonville team I think we thought we'd see all season.
It just reminded me of what someone else said, which is, oh, so an offensive line that actually blocks makes the offense look good.
Yep. We can thank Tom Grossi for that one again, I believe.
I believe it was. The thing is, we said that, and this is one of the things we talked about last week right away, right after the loss was, it was that offensive line. It was honestly, with how many hits Trevor Lawrence had gotten him pressured, of course that offense wasn't going to look good.
Yeah.
The offensive line played a weaker defense now, and they looked fine.
They looked very fine, yes.
So it just turns out that their offensive line has issues against really good defenses, which is going to be problematic once they get to playoffs, to be honest with you.
Raiders at Dolphins.
This was weird.
We both picked the Dolphins. We were both correct. Dolphins win 20-13. Huh?
It should have been a blowout. It should have been
a much bigger blowout. I will say that HN left literally right away again. And Tyreek Hill left for part of the game and came back.
Yeah.
Aiden O'Connell went 24-41 for 271, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions.
Oof. But, rookie, kind of what you expect.
Yeah, and Jalen Ramsey got the game-sealing one, so...
Oh, that was such a good one, though.
Oh, yeah.
That was actually a really good one.
Jalen Ramsey is back, you can definitely tell.
Oh, yeah. He's feeling good.
Yeah. Jacobs only carried 14 times for 39 yards. Adams, 7 receptions, 82 yards, and a touchdown. On the other side, Tua... 28 of 39, 325, 2 touchdowns and a pick. I think he also lost a fumble. At least one.
I don't remember if that was this week, but I think... Or was there a flag on that play where it didn't matter? I don't remember. Mostert, 22 carries, 86 yards. And Tyreek Hill, 10 receptions, 146, and a touchdown. Yeah. Tyreek Hill doing Tyreek Hill
Tua lost one, and Julian Hill lost one.
Okay.
Yeah. Waddle only had 4 catches for 55 yards. And yeah, this should have been a blowout, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
But
that tells me that one of two things. Either the Dolphins are starting to slowly kind of hit back to what we thought normalcy Dolphins might be, or the Raiders are actually just really playing better without having the Snake McDaniels as their coach. I think it's more of the second one, but
there's a lot of the second one, but there is a little of the first still.
Yeah, they're kind of still. They're not quite breaking the ceiling. They're almost like the Bills for the prior to this year, like the Bills of last year and the year before that, were they're really good, but just something seems like it's not always clicking 100%.
Yep. So, next game. Cowboys at Panthers. We both picked the Cowboys. We were both correct. I will say...
I have nothing to say about that game.
I will say that early in the third quarter, I thought, wow, I can't believe that But early in the third quarter, with 1:59 left in that third quarter, at 1:59, they threw a touchdown and got 10-17. And I was like, they have a chance. This is a one-score game. And then Tony Pollard, and then in the fourth quarter, Dallas hit the gas pedal. Tony Pollard, and then Deron Bland with the 30-yard interception return. Brandon Aubrey hit a field goal, 33-10.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep. The Cowboys went, oh, wait, this is supposed to be a blowout. My bad, guys. Hold on.
So
we'll fix that in one quarter.
Dak Prescott, 25 of 38, 189 yards and 2 touchdowns. Pollard, 12 carries, 61 yards and a touchdown. And Cooks, 3 receptions, 42 yards. Young went 16 of 29 for 123, a touchdown and a pick. Chuba Hubbard, 10 carries, 57 yards. Adam Thielen, 8 receptions, 74 yards. So Frank Reich took over play calling duties. I don't think it helped.
It doesn't seem like much changed. But we'll see. It's only 1 week. It's only
Give it some time. You will see.
We'll see.
Now, for an exciting game. This game was way closer and way better than it had any right to be. And the only reason it was close was because one of the quarterbacks played much better than they have, and the other one, who has played pretty good all season, looked like dog crap. Bears at Lions. We both picked the Lions, and we were both correct, but it was in doubt for quite a while.
It was.
The Lions win 31-26. Yeah, this game was something, all right.
It was weird.
Honestly, the Bears probably should have won that game.
With how bad the Lions played all around, yeah. Like, their offense wasn't clicking as well. Their defense wasn't clicking as well. Like, everything just felt a little off. It was obviously not enough to prevent them from winning, but they definitely didn't look like the Lions from the previous weeks that we've seen.
And the end of the game was weird.
It's pretty normal, though.
Well, I mean, did you see the end?
I briefly remember seeing parts of it. I don't know if I actually saw the whole end of it.
So at the end of it, Justin Fields is trying to get something so that he can go downfield. There's 22 seconds left on the clock. He wants to drive. He's getting ready to throw. He fumbles it in the end zone.
Yeah.
And then it's forced out the back of the end zone by Aiden Hutchinson.
Yep, I remember that. Yeah. Safety right at the end, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what the f*** am I watching?
Yep, I remember that. And it wasn't even Aiden Hutchinson. It was
one
of his own players kicked the ball and then...
But they gave it to Hutchinson because he forced
No, they gave it to Hutchinson because he was the close. Yeah, he was the one that forced the fumble. But what was really funny is that they were trying to get the ball. One of his own linemen kicked the ball into the, like, way into the back of the end zone to the point where it rolled out of bounds. It's like, dude, why'd you kick the ball? Fall on it. Don't try to pick it up, you moron. Like, fucking hell.
Yeah, that was really funny.
He was trying to reach down to pick it up and kicked it. It's like, you fucking idiot, dude.
So, Justin Fields, 16 of 23, 169 yards and a touchdown. And 18 carries for 104 yards. DJ Moore, 7 catches, 96 yards and a touchdown. He looked pretty good.
He actually looked pretty decent, yeah.
Jared Goff, 23 of 35, 236, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And some of them were abysmal. Like, what were you thinking throwing some of those, Jared?
Yeah, I don't know.
Montgomery, 12 carries, 76 yards, and a touchdown. Sun God, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8 receptions, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Man, look, the Bears almost won this game. In fact, they led in the fourth quarter with 4:15 to go. 26-14.
Yeah.
And then Jamison Williams, 32 yards from Jared Goff. With 29 seconds, David Montgomery gets a 1-yard run, and Goff completes a 2-point conversion to Sam Laporta, and then the safety. The Lions pulled that from the jaws of defeat.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say is that like, as much as we can criticize the Lions for playing like shit the entire game, they managed to do just enough at the end to win.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that's impressive to me.
Yeah, and so we have to at least commend them for not, sticking their heads in the sand and going, "Oh, we played so bad, the game's over." They were still like,
They
still
fought.
decided to,
They
they still
decided to
rallied.
They took that mantra to heart. They got knocked down and took a kneecap.
Yep, they took a kneecap and went, "Nope, we're not done yet, motherfuckers."
I didn't hear no bell.
I didn't hear no fucking Stan. I didn't hear no bell.
I didn't hear no bell.
That's all I think of every time I hear
Yeah.
that fucking Stan from South Park.
Yeah.
I didn't hear no bell.
Oh,
They
this
get
is
arrested
America.
every time. I thought this was America.
Is this
What?
America?
What? No shirt, pants off. Fucking old school South Park, man.
The very first time I ever watched South Park was a Thanksgiving special where they genetically mutated the turkeys.
Ah, yep.
Yep.
I remember that one. Fucking giant turkeys.
All right, moving along, the very first game that we split on this week. Chargers at Packers. Packers win 23-20. I win that one. You would pick the Chargers. I'd pick the Packers. Honestly,
Fire Brandon Stanley. Just fire him. Just fucking fire
Brandon Staley. Fire him. He needs to be done.
Like, Jesus
We'll talk about
Christ.
that press conference.
We'll get there in a second. Oh,
Keenan Allen dropped a touchdown,
he did.
which is not something you see very often.
No, there was definitely drops that were happening that shouldn't have happened.
Oh yeah, let's be honest. And then the fumble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the fact that Herbert was your leading rusher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, with what you have as Austin Eckler, that should not be a thing.
That should not be a thing. So Herbert, 21 of 36, 260, 2 touchdowns, 8 carries, 73 yards.
He tried. He tried to carry that team on his back.
Keenan Allen, 10 receptions, 116 yards and a touchdown, and a drop touchdown.
Should have been 2. Yep.
Jordan Love, 27 of 40, 322 yards, and 2 tutties.
Definitely his best game, but let's be honest, throwing that much and still getting only 27 completions feels a little weird. Feels like there's still a little more drops or a little inaccuracy issues more than you'd like. But this was definitely his best game that he's had so far.
Definitely his best game. Reed, 3 carries, 46 yards and a touchdown. I don't know who's left to run the ball right now for Green Bay.
Depends on if Aaron Jones comes back.
Dontavius Wicks, 3 receptions, 91 yards.
Okay.
I'll take that. That wasn't bad.
Fair enough.
Both Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs caught touchdowns. And also some guy named Stone Smart caught a 51-yarder from Justin Herbert.
Yep.
Okay, then.
Fair enough, Mr. Smart.
Fair enough, Mr. Smart. Okay, so obviously Green Bay won this, but then after the game, Brandon Staley gave the press conference of all press conferences.
Oh, God. He was heated as shit the minute that he was, like, right off the bat. You could tell he was already heated before the questions
He was
came.
already ready to start laying into reporters.
God.
Like, he came into that looking for a fight. And boy, did he find one.
I forget even what the question was. Wasn't it just something like, oh, yeah, with how the calls have been going, are you going to continue making the calls or something like that? He just, like...
Something like that.
Just reamed into the guy. Yeah, I make the calls. I always make the calls. I make the goddamn calls. I'm going to be making the calls going in the future. Like,
I think I actually have it here.
It's like, my God, dude, relax. Take a breath. Take a breath.
I have full confidence, like I've told you, and like I've told you from the beginning, I have full confidence in our way of playing. Full confidence in myself as the play caller, in the way that we teach, and the way that we scheme. Full confidence in that. We got to bring this group together and do it consistently, okay? And that's where it's at. So you can stop asking that question, okay? I'm going to be calling the defenses, okay? So we're clear. So you don't have to ask that again. I'm not here to talk to the fan base. I'm here to talk to my players, the locker room. I know that we give ourselves a chance to win every single week with the game plans that we have, okay?
Do you?
And we have done it here. You guys act like we've never played good defense. That's not the truth. That's not the truth. You act like we haven't made any improvements today in the run game. We played outstanding. We're rushing the quarterback well. What we got to do a better job of is in the passing game. And that's where our full attention is, and it's where it will continue to be. There were a lot of other things that caused us to lose today. It certainly wasn't our defense. It was the way we played as a team. We didn't play well enough on the red zone on offense. We dropped too many passes. Okay, we gave up a few killer sacks. Okay, we did this as a team. Stop making it about one unit, because that's not what happened out there today. Our team lost, and I am fully responsible for it, and I take full responsibility. But we lost as a team today, and that's the storyline.
Listen, I hate to tell you, Brandon. I realize you lost as a team, but one side of the ball was playing significantly worse than the other side of the ball. Of course, people are going to be like, why is your defense not playing as good as your offense? Because that's what's happening.
It's not just that. Look at all the players they have on their defense that are supposed to be amazing, and it's just not working.
It's not.
I mean, you've got Khalil Mack, and you've got Joey Bosa. Well, you had Joey Bosa.
But it's just one of those things where you just see it, and you're just like, here's my theory on it. He came out swinging and upset and already angry, and my bird is going to have to get it put under your fucking cloth and you keep screaming for no reason. I think he already knows he's in the hot seat. I promise you the owner probably already talked to him and was like, hey, this is not fucking good enough. I'm pissed off.
Oh, yeah. And I'm almost 100% certain that what's going to happen now is that, so the owner yelled at him and flipped out on him, and now he's going to flip out and try and fire up the team. So he came out swinging to show the team that he's serious, because I'm defending you guys. You guys better go out there and play like champions.
But really, what it to me stunk of more of, my job's on the line. We got to get this fucking shit together. And I'm thinking, dude, your job should be on the line. The fact that you got another season, is fucking miraculous. Like, if you I bet you if they lose another close game like this, I promise you they're gonna fire him. They have to, right?
He's got to be on the thinnest of ice right now.
And I think that's and that interview doesn't even do it justice, because if you see the visual of it, his face is so beet red.
Oh, he's so angry.
He's so mad.
So mad. All right, moving along. The upset of the week. Although I don't really know that you can call it an upset. But it certainly was interesting. Giants at Commanders.
That was a weird... I don't even know what happened there.
We both picked the Commanders. We were both wrong. Giants win 31-19. I don't know what happened.
I do. Tommy DeVito's mom woke up in the morning and was able to make his bed and breakfast for him perfectly.
Is that what happened?
That's probably what happened, right?
Yeah, that seems like what happened.
That sounds right.
That sounds right. Actually...
Because apparently his mom is just the best thing since sliced bread.
So I thought we were tied going into the final game, and I was wrong about that. I thought we were two apiece. I thought we had 5 that we split on. We only split on 4 this week.
Yeah.
We split on Chargers, Packers, Jets, Bills, which is coming up, Seahawks, Rams, and Eagles, Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
So we are tied this week.
Yeah.
I will spoil that. There is no winner.
No. Nobody wins this week.
Nobody wins this week.
This week in general was
just kind of feels right. So let's talk about this, though, because the Giants game. All right. I don't know what fucking happened. Tommy DeVito, 18 of 26, 246 yards and 3 touchdowns.
There's no way he ever repeats that again.
No. God,
There's no way he ever repeats it.
Saquon Barkley, 14 carries, 83 yards. Slayton, 4 receptions, 82 yards, and a touchdown. And then their defense was all over Sam Howell from the word go. Yeah. Howell, 31 of 45, 255, a touchdown, and 3 more picks. Robinson Jr., 17 carries, 73 yards. And Logan Thomas, 5 catches, 58 yards. And I believe he had a fumble.
I believe so, too.
But yeah, I will say that Barkley got a touchdown on a reception, I believe. 4 catches, 57 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yep. He actually got 2 touchdowns. And I believe he did a pretty good job on the ground, too, if I remember right.
Like I said, 14 for 83.
Yeah, yeah.
But
so,
for a little while,
he's-
he was really stymied on the ground, so they started swinging the ball out to him on passes
Yep.
to get him some yardage.
Yep,
Um,
it was working, man. It was working.
Robinson Jr. also had 7 catches for 58 yards. Terry McLaurin, 5 for 43. Yeah, the Commanders are in free fall now, and I think that at the end of the season, Rivera is definitely gone.
Oh, probably. I mean, to be fair, we already kind of suspected that he was on his way out with the fact that they brought in Bieniemy as their offensive coordinator.
I think that
It was
Bieniemy
very
is,
clear that he was going to be tapped as the next coach.
yeah, I think that's pretty clear now that that's going to happen next season.
Yeah.
Moving right along, Buccaneers at Niners. We both picked the Niners. We're both correct. But Niners win 27-14. Purdy looked amazing again. Purdy looked very pretty. 21 of 25, 333, and 3 touchdowns.
Oh my God.
McCaffrey, 21 carries, 78 yards. Ayuk, 5 catches, 156, and a touchdown. Also, McCaffrey had a receiving touchdown. Yeah. Baker Mayfield, 29 of 45, 246, a touchdown and a pick. Rashad White, 9 carries, 30 yards and a touchdown. And Cade Otton, 4 receptions for 49 yards.
Nice.
Yeah. Mike Evans did have a touchdown catch, but he didn't have a whole lot of yards this time. Kittle had a touchdown reception, and McCaffrey had a touchdown reception. So, overall, the Niners look like the Niners again.
Fair enough.
Now, let's talk about another one we split on. And you asked me why I picked how I did, and I believe my response was, I am a creature of the vibes, and I must do as the vibes respond and ask me to do at the moment.
Mistakes.
Yeah, the vibes don't seem to know what the hell they're doing. Jets at Bills. You picked the Bills, I picked the Jets. Bills win 32-6.
Man, I think we can all agree that the Zach Wilson experiment can fucking stop now.
Yes, he has been demoted to third-string quarterback.
I think we can stop that now.
Zach Wilson, 7 of 15, 81 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Breece Hall, 10 carries, 23 yards. Also, 5 receptions, 50 yards, and a touchdown. Josh Allen, 20 of 32, 275, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Cook, 17 carries, 73 yards. Shakir. Hold on, let me get his first name. Khalil Shakir.
Yep.
3 catches, 115 yards, and a touchdown.
I believe he's a rookie, too, isn't he?
I believe so.
He's either a rookie or in his second year, if I remember right.
Well, let's find out. No, he's second year. He was a rookie last year.
Okay. Yep.
So,
Fair enough.
but yeah. Also, Bills fired their offensive coordinator.
That was last week, though, wasn't it?
Yes, but I don't think we got to talk about it last week.
Oh, no, I don't remember. I'm just saying that for this game, they had a different offensive coordinator.
Yes, they had a different offensive coordinator for this game. Last week after their loss at Denver on Monday night, they fired their offensive coordinator Wednesday, I think. I don't think we got to talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But I did want to bring that up in case we had forgotten. Another game. This one was seriously close, and I thought I had you beat on this, and then you pulled it out in the end, you bastard. Seahawks at Rams. I had the Seahawks. You had the Rams. I lose 16-17.
Yep.
This was a very good game, to be completely honest.
It actually was. It actually was.
The problem was that what's his name? Running back for the Seahawks.
Oh, Charbonnet?
No, the other one.
The other one,
Whatever the third.
Walker the third, yeah.
Yeah, Walker the third went out injured.
Mm-hmm.
Bill
Charbonnet is looking pretty good, actually. So.
Yeah, but that didn't help my fantasy team any.
Oh, ouch. Kenneth Walker the third, there we go. I got his name.
Yep. Anyway, Geno Smith, 22 of 34, 233 and a touchdown. Charbonnet, 15 carries, 47 yards. DK, 5 catches, 94 yards and a touchdown. Stafford, 17 of 31, 190 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Royce Freeman, 17 carries, 73 yards. Puka Nacua, 5 catches, 70 yards and a touchdown. And the possibility that Cooper Kupp is injured again.
Yeah. I will also say that the game probably shouldn't have been as close as it was because there was at least 2 or 3 times I saw Stafford overthrow a wide open receiver for touchdowns.
Yes.
Like really bad ones where I'm like, man, his thumb must be still bothering him because those are things that you normally don't see from him.
It's just, I think he's such a tough bastard that he didn't want to miss more time than he absolutely had to. And as soon as they signed Wentz, he went, no.
Probably.
We're going to save that one for last. And we're going to move to the Eagles and the Chiefs. I picked the Eagles. You picked the Chiefs. I win. It was a very good game. 21-17 Eagles.
Not going to lie.
They did beat the Chiefs.
The Chiefs had that game at the very end. Except for that fucking drop. MVS, are you fucking serious, bro? Are you fucking serious, bro?
Yeah. That was...
There was no reason you should have dropped that pass, my guy.
Also, they had Hurts just stymied in the passing game.
Yeah, they did. They had a real chance to win that. But
14 of 22, 150 yards and a pick for Hurts. Unfortunately, he ran all over them, along with Swift. 12 carries, 76 yards and a touchdown. And Devonta Smith, 6 receptions, 99 yards. Mahomes, 24 of 43.
A little rough. Yep, their defense
little rough.
Was good too.
177, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Pacheco, though, 19 carries, 89 yards. Watson, 5 receptions, 53 yards and a touchdown. Really didn't see much of Travis Kelce, though, either.
No, I don't think he was on the field that much. I kept seeing
their
backup
They just
tight ends.
They blanketed him all the time.
I was gonna say I saw whenever the tight ends were catching it was his backup, not him.
There were a couple of plays where he came off and he was hot.
Though I did see a couple, I think there was a couple times I saw him drop a pass too, which was unusual for him. So.
Also, Jalen Hurts, 12 carries, 29 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns.
Speaking of, there's another tight end that I want to talk about that kept dropping fucking passes. We'll get to.
Oh.
You know exactly the one if you watch the game. So many drops.
After a week where he was amazing.
My God, I think it was like almost 3 or 4 in a fucking row.
Yeah, and you were just like, what are you fucking doing?
One literally off his fucking face mask. Are you fucking serious?
Can't be Superman all the time, I guess.
Oh, God.
In fact, let's talk about that game right now.
Oh, okay.
Because I think we're done talking about the Chiefs and the Eagles, right?
Oh, yeah, I had nothing else to say about that game. Other than MVS, you got to catch that ball.
You got to catch that, dude.
You got to catch that, man. All
right. Vikings at Broncos. We both picked the Vikings. We were both wrong. Broncos win 21-20. I have thoughts about this game.
I think we both have thoughts and feelings, some of which I have to save for a later segment, some that I can talk about now. So I guess I'll let you take the lead.
Well, since I know you're going to talk about some of it in the later segment, I will say right now that the first drive should not have come to an end on a fumble.
On the way it did.
Yeah. Because there should have been a 15-yard unnecessary roughness penalty on Kareem Jackson. Fuck that guy. I hope he gets run over by a car.
That was... I got things to say about that whole entire situation, but yeah, I remember us talking about his first suspension back when he hit, I think it was Jordan Love, is what caused him to get ejected from that game, and then the suspension.
It was somebody, and he leveled the shit out of the guy.
And the thing is, he leveled him, but we also looked at the hit and went, okay, it was kind of a 50-50 hit, where he definitely was a little low, but it didn't look like it was, really bad, but it wasn't great, right? It was definitely okay, that was not a great hit, but it wasn't, that bad that we thought it was going to be ejected. But then,
other one was the fact that what's his name, the rookie on the Seahawks had a hit that was even more blast worthy, and he got nothing.
But it was a clean hit. but it was a clean hit.
It was a very clean hit, yes.
Like, if you actually watch back the replay, he actually only hit him with the shoulder, and it was like,
And
wow, I can't believe he had...
Yeah. Well, I think we did both agree that the one that Jackson got penalized for... The actual one I think he got suspended for was one where he did hit the guy on the shoulder.
Yes,
yes. But there was another hit where you were like, he probably should have been suspended for that one. But the one that they actually got him suspended was on Musgrave.
Yeah,
who hopped right up, and he hit him right in the shoulder. It was
started laughing, yeah.
It was a clean hit. Clean as whistle. And they suspended him for that one. But he also had gotten Love, and you went, that one probably
There's a couple others.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, too, is that after learning, like, we were both confused as to why that happened, but after learning that apparently, I forget which show it was on, I don't remember if it was Pat McAfee's or Rich Eisen's. I think it was McAfee's, but he was talking to one of the reporters. And apparently, it came out that the refs had been told by the league earlier that, hey, this guy has been hitting pretty bad. We've had to find him several times already this season. Pay attention. If you feel you need to eject him, eject him. That happened for that Green Bay game, and that's what happened. So he got the 2-game suspension. Then he comes back, and then has another bad hit, and then now
this one was egregious.
This was egregious and so bad.
He lowers his head and just battering rams right into Dobbs' chest. Leads with his helmet, everything that you're not supposed to do. Could have injured Dobbs. In fact, Dobbs went to the blue medical tent after that hit.
Yeah.
There should have definitely been an unnecessary roughness call on that hit.
Yep. There should have been. And then even the league, went, hey, yeah, he's getting suspended for another 4 games because he can't play correctly.
Exactly.
And I have thoughts about that I want to address at some point too. I even have, I have thoughts about several things that went on with that game.
And I understand you can get into that in your segment, but I'm going to preempt a little bit of it because
I was going to say you can preload if you want.
I'll preload. I understand where you're coming from because that should have been called on the field. You call that 15 yards, you give us the first down, maybe we go down and score, or at least we have a field goal out of it. We get a field goal out of that, that game is won. Because we will now win 23-21. Changes the entire game. But instead, they get the ball, and they get a different field position because they got a fumble they should not have gotten.
Yeah. And they got a field goal right off of it. Which at the time, for that offense, was anemic to even move down the field. So the fact that even if we wouldn't have moved down the field, if we would have just had to punt it, I promise they still wouldn't have came away with points. Not that early in the game. Not that early in the game, they were playing like trash.
Yeah. No, we probably would have stopped them. And so the point that I'll make about all of this is that, that should have been a definite call on the field. And for the league to come in behind the refs and then suspend him for 4 games. And then, like, if you're going to do that, tell us what you're doing about the ref. Because there was a ref right in front of that. Like, I said, they're human. They can't see everything. And then upon rewatching that, it happened right in front of a ref. Yeah. You gotta flag that. Throw the laundry, man. Yeah. I've come up with the idea that maybe there needs to be, for pass interference and for unnecessary roughness calls, you need to have a ref that's the eye in the sky that can throw a virtual flag, who can flag those plays and say, hey, we use replay refs within the last 2 minutes. Maybe they need to be active for all PI and the booth reviews for all PI and any unnecessary roughness calls. Let's open it up to that. I've also said that if the players think that this is a bad enough and egregious enough problem with players not tackling right and trying to hurt other players, put it in the CBA that the punishments should be stiffer. You can negotiate that.
Because I think that's honestly the other thing, is that it's supposed to get stiffer as the more they do it, but it's clearly not enough for this guy to start playing correctly. And I have more thoughts on that as well when we get further into other segments.
Well, you know what this reminds me of?
Yeah.
You know what player this reminds me of?
I was going to say something else, but okay. Player, who?
Vontae's perfect.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That dude he wanted to hurt people when he was out there.
Pretty much.
And now, back in the 60s and 70s, he'd have been lauded as a fucking hero.
Oh, yeah.
But in today's age,
tough, hard football, but that's not what they want anymore.
No, because the money and everything else is too great. You know, Like, if you'd have played, if Kareem Jackson and Vontaze Burfict had played in the era of Jack Lambert, they'd have been lauded as some of the best hard-nosed defenders out there. People would have loved them. But these days, you look at that and you go, that's dirty, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there was several other missed calls. I mean, there was that face mask on. Well, it was illegal hands to the face technically because it was when Dobbs was throwing the ball. The guy was going up to try to bat the ball, but hit him right in the square in the face, which we've seen always called as illegal hands to the face. Somehow they missed that one. I don't know how. There was the late hit out of bounds after the punt that was so egregious that everyone on the sideline went, "Why aren't you not throwing the flag?" Like, he obviously got hit out of bounds. What's going on? And then I forget if there was another one. I think there was one more that was, wasn't there another PI one? But I know the one got called because it was so egregious that they had to call that one.
I think you and I had a discussion about an OPI call that was, OPI blocking downfield.
Yeah.
And you and I had a discussion about whether or not that was always OPI or whether that had been a separate call. And I never did find the answer to whether or not it had been a separate penalty. But I can tell you that I did find that it is now called offensive pass interference blocking downfield. And that is...
It's just weird.
Well, if you are engaged in blocking before the ball is caught.
Yeah.
Then it is an offensive pass interference blocking downfield call.
And it was also, even in my mind, kind of a questionable one, because it's kind of... There was very... Like, it's splitting hairs with how close it was, in my opinion, but...
Because it does matter on that call whether or not the ball was catchable.
Yeah.
And if the ball wasn't catchable on that screen, then you don't call the OPI.
Exactly, and I don't think it really was, but...
That one is a very, very much a judgment call.
Yeah.
So, like, I looked into that, and you could go either way on it. So I'm mad about it, but I'm not I'm like, nah.
But when you add up everything that was already missed, and the fact that they almost never called penalties on Denver's offense, like, at all.
Yeah.
It just felt weird. And I have more thoughts on, like, that I can go on that I want to talk more about. But I don't want to do it here because I obviously have another place that I'm going to do it at.
Yeah.
Because I'm not exclusively blaming the refs. I'm not exclusively blaming Denver's defense. I'm not exclusive. Like, I have lots of people that I want to throw under the bus today. So we'll get there.
I totally understand. Now, I will say, Josh Dobbs, 20 of 32, 221, 1 touchdown and 1 pick. First pick in a Vikings uniform.
It was his first pick, but by the way, it wasn't even like that egregious of a pick. It was off someone's hands.
Yeah, it bounced off someone else's hands, and they wound up.
So it wasn't really even his fault.
Like, Alexander Mattison had his best game this season.
Really, he did.
18 carries, 81 yards. He looked really good. I will also point out. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the reason why that it's working out is not necessarily that we played a bad running defense, but I think the fact that they have been utilizing more Ty Chandler to use as their bowling ball through the line and allowing Madison to use more of the outside, I think is working a lot better for them.
And the fact that Dobbs can also take off and run, as he did take off and run for another touchdown. That is...
Though they severely limited him, which that's what we expected eventually.
They did eventually slow him down, but the fact that he can run has, now you've got the RPO, and you've also got the, what do they call it? The option, where you can either hand it off or take it yourself. Yeah. Designed option plays. And that's, it's a very, so that opens up lanes for Madison as well.
Heck,
Hawkinson had the most receiving yards, 4 receptions for 55 yards, but considering how many balls he dropped.
How many balls did he drop? I want to know.
Only 3.
Yeah, the 3 that we all watched and went, why the fuck are you dropping those? Because you were wide open.
Josh Oliver, though, 4 targets, 4 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah, he actually did pretty good.
Addison also dropped 3 balls, targeted 6 times, caught 3.
Some of those
for 44.
Some of those
definitely weren't catchable.
I was gonna say I think 2 of them weren't even catchable.
Yeah. But yeah, Ty Chandler also 10 carries for 73 yards. Dobbs 8 for 21. Overall 36 carries, 175 yards for the Vikings. Their best rushing game to date. Also, it's sad that the leading that the guy who has the most rushing touchdowns this season for the Vikings is Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs, yeah. So what I will say is that even though the Vikings lost, it was a very optimistic loss. Like it was one of those losses where you look at it, and you go, no, this team is still cooking. They still look really good. Like you add in that we're getting JJ back eventually soon, hopefully. Like all of a sudden you're like, okay, this team is gonna get really good really fast, especially the longer Josh Dobbs is in that system. Like I think this team still has not hit even their ceiling.
And we do have a very soft schedule for the back half of the season now. I was worried about the Bengals game, but without Burrow, I am not worried about that anymore.
Not so much worried about it.
I think our division literally comes to the final 3 games of the season.
And the funny thing is, up until this point, you and I were both kind of like the Lions are going to be tough. But if they're going to have those kinds of games against Chicago, that leaves the door open. It really does.
Yeah, and their last 3 games are Minnesota, Dallas, Minnesota. So, and our last 3 games are Detroit, Green Bay, Detroit.
Detroit, yep.
Oof.
So it's going to be really interesting.
Russell Wilson, 27 of 35, 259 and a touchdown.
He's looking better.
Williams, 11 carries, 37 yards. They could not get their rushing game going.
Not at all.
And they sacked Wilson a number of times, and I believe Hunter is still the second in the league in sacks right now because the only guy ahead of him is Myles Garrett. Yep. Cortland Sutton, 4 receptions, 66 yards, and another tutty.
Who's that other guy that has been getting sacks recently? That's almost right in the middle of our line, our defensive line. I forget what his name is, but he's over the last couple of weeks has actually gotten a couple sacks.
Harrison Phillips.
Yeah, Phillips. He's actually playing really good right now.
Yeah, Harrison Phillips is playing incredibly well. Hunter is playing well, and of course, one of my favorite guys because I love his
Pace,
name.
Of course.
Not just Pace.
Oh, okay.
I love it when Paul Allen calls it DJ Wanham.
Wanham. Yep.
I love how he does that kind of stuff. Paul Allen is the man, dude. And I've told, I had a discussion with somebody. What I really want to do is watch a Vikings game, but I don't want to hear their commentary. I want to hear fucking Paul Allen and Bursich.
Paul Allen talk. Yeah.
I want to hear Allen and Bursich call the game while I watch it. Because those guys are just amazing. I did find out something about Paul Allen that I thought was kind of funny. You know where he got his start?
I imagine probably somewhere in Minnesota.
I don't think so.
Really?
He got his start at horse racing.
Really?
Yeah, he was calling horse racing at a track.
That's hilarious.
But he said that's where he learned.
Hype up.
That's where he learned to tell the story because there's a progression to how it goes, and you have the same thing when you're on the field. You want that progression so that people can feel the excitement with you. All right. But yeah, no, he got started calling horse races and learned that natural progression of, kind of the pitch up.
Yeah, because you have to get more and more excited.
More and more excited.
As the game towards the end, yeah.
Which is why he's so good at calling games, and you get into it because you get excited with him.
Right.
So, I love it.
No, that makes sense.
So, he's, like I said, he really enjoys calling. He almost... I can't remember what it was, but he did something in his first year there where he thought he might get fired. He talks about it. He's like, I thought I was going to get fired. And then they kept him around, and he's been really good ever since and really gotten to be a staple there.
All you got to do is just be genuinely excited, and you can do it. Obviously, for a lot of people, that's probably a lot harder to do, especially when you think you're on air. But, all you gotta do is pretty much just be a genuinely excited fan that just knows everyone's names.
And they have a cheat sheet for a lot of it. But, I mean, after a
they
while, you look at it and you go, okay,
I
I know who that is. I watched a guy break through the line. I went, oh, look, there's Pace.
Yep,
I didn't even see the name on his jersey. I knew who he was, 41. I went, oh, look, that's Pace.
Yep. And then, of course, you got Blackman, who I believe is 5, if I remember
right.
Yeah.
And then I think I want to
Murphy
say
3?
98 is
isn't that Hunter?
Yeah, Hunter. You just look at it, you go, oh, okay.
And then isn't 88 Phillips? I could be wrong on that though.
I think that is Phillips, yes.
Like you just see him enough times, and you're just like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I know who that is.
Yep.
And then
So.
Wanham, I think, is 40 something, 43 maybe,
43 or is there 47?
something like that. The point is that you look at it, you just kind of after you see it
Eventually
enough
enough times,
know,
yeah.
yeah. And if you're going to be at the practices and kind of watching and kind of because I don't know,
Oh yeah.
I don't know how much other stuff they're on and when they're, what their other schedules entail. Because I do know, I think Paul Allen has a talk show that's on daily at KFAN.
I believe so.
Yeah, I believe he has a talk hour on there or 2 hours or something.
But he's always like reporting stuff, so he's around the team plenty.
Yeah, he's one of the big reporters, so he's always around the team. So you see enough numbers, and you just kind of
you just remember.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was always that game. I'm sad we lost, but I am happy that we remained competitive through the whole game.
Oh yeah, it wasn't even just competitive. There was a lot of bright spots. There was still Josh Jobs looks like he's getting better and better in the system. Even Addison is continuing to still look like the guy that we want as a backup behind or a wide receiver 2 behind JJ, who can be a wide receiver 1 if JJ is injured, kind of thing, which is great.
Oh, I agree.
Brandon Powell is still looking pretty good, surprisingly enough. TJ is had a rough week, unfortunately, but he's mostly still good, right?
Yep.
And then the running backs, like that was the big story, right? Is that Ty Chandler and Alexander Madison, that dual back system is starting to really heat up, and that's one thing we were missing throughout most of this year.
100%.
And with that now going, that's going to open up the passing even more, and so it's like the rest of this year looks like really optimistic.
Oh,
so.
100%. I am very optimistic for the rest of our season.
Yeah.
Now, talking about optimism, we tied this week at 2 games apiece.
We did.
Let's see what we can do next week.
Oh, you want to predict next week? All right.
Let's predict next week. And then we'll get into the Inferno, and we'll do Game Balls, Showers, Inferno, Power Rankings. How about that?
And umpire rankings? Okay.
And then we'll do I have a hockey corner because I did look into some stuff involving Ken Holland. And
that's right. Yep.
I will do an NHL Power Rankings, and then we'll wrap up and call it a day. All right. So we will start with the Thanksgiving games. Packers at Lions.
I mean, that's gonna be Lions, right? Like I don't. As much as like
they look
as
better,
much as,
but without Aaron Jones and everything else, and they're at the Lions, you're not gonna be able to have a charger it up this time.
Probably not.
This one I think we're both going to agree on too. Commanders at Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean that's probably Cowboys unless Commanders just have a crazy game,
49ers at Seahawks. By the way, I agree.
I mean probably 49ers there too. Like the Seahawks are just not quite there anymore.
Yeah, and
they're
I
good,
again
they're not great.
agree. Dolphins at Jets.
I mean that's the Jets that we know are playing tinfoil. Come on, it's gonna be the Dolphins. Like there's just no way.
Here's gonna be a fun one to watch. Steelers at Bengals.
Yeah, I mean Bengals would be an easy pick here normally, but with Browning in, it's kind of hard to say, and then you don't know about how the new offense is gonna run with only a week really to prep. But that also means that they might be willing to be more loosey-goosey with the gun throws. So I'm actually going to lean to Pittsburgh Steelers here. I'm actually going to.
I agree with you. I think the Steelers are going to win that. I think if Burrow were in, I'd be tempted to go Bengals.
I probably would go Bengals if Burrow was in.
Here's the one where I think we got to flip a coin. Jags at Texans.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The worst part is I like both teams. Too,
oh yeah, and you know what? Watching these two teams duel it out for the AFC South for the next several years is going to be amazingly fun.
So Stroud just came off of a low game. Trevor Lawrence is coming off a high game. But is that going to be more? We're going to try to go into it.
But the Texans defense just had a
better
really
defense.
good game.
was gonna say with that offensive line of the Jags, is the defense on the Texans good enough to continue putting pressure on them like
Is
before?
the defense on the Jags good enough to pressure Stroud into those bad throws, though?
I don't know. That's the problem too. So it's gonna be kind of a hmm. Oh, like literally either one of them, and it could win. Like it's literally one of those things where it's one week one team wins, the other week the other one wins, kind of thing. Like they're that good.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm going to lean to Stroud having a big game, and I'm going to say the Texans win that.
I will lean on the Jags this time, the boys from Duval, and
That's fair.
I will say that they're going to win this one and continue rolling.
Fair enough.
If you ask me in another hour, I might change my mind.
I was going to say, you ask me even in 30 minutes from now, I might be like, but Jacksonville.
Bucks at Colts. Harder game to pick than I would have thought.
You know what? I think it'll be fun and silly, and I'm doing it. Colts win that game.
I will take the Bucks because I think they really want that.
They do, but at the same time, the Colts are just kind of in this
weird
weird sphere where they're actually like not bad, but not great. It's weird.
Saints at Falcons.
Oh, and we know Falcons are starting Ritter too, which
yes,
he's hit and miss. He has moments where he's really good, and then he has moments where he's really bad. Saints are looking okay. They've been slowly doing good. You know what? I'll go Saints on that one.
I agree with you. Here's the stinker of the week, and I have no idea how to call it.
Okay.
Pats at Giants.
You know what? I was wrong about Tommy DeVito. We're going Giants.
You know what? I agree with you.
Maybe
and you
that
know what's
Patriots
sad?
defense is so bad that Tommy
now, you know
DeVito
what's
will
funny
look
about this? Belichick has refused to name a starter.
I know. We still don't know if they're going to do Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi or whatever.
Here's another stinker, and I don't know what to think about it.
Ah.
Panthers at Titans.
See, this is the game that if you want to see if Bryce Young is going to be good, it'd be this game because that defense is so atrocious right now that this is a game where he should look good.
This is also a game where Will Levis could star out, though.
And I was going to say, but the same thing can be said in reverse, but we've already seen Will Levis deliver a lot better than Bryce Young has currently, so I'm actually going to say Titans win this one. I don't like it.
I will pick the Panthers.
I was going to say, I don't like it, but
I just have a feeling.
This has to be the game he breaks out. Like, if he doesn't break out during this game, I have a lot of questions for Bryce Young going into the future.
Rams at Cardinals.
Normally I would pick Rams right off the bat because I'm like, Matthew Stafford, he's back. But he's got that thumb. We don't know if that's going to be good. Kylie's come out of the gate looking good. Oof. And we don't know if Cooper Kupp's going to be there.
But they are getting that running back next week.
They are, but I'm going with Cardinals.
I agree with you, actually.
Which is coming back? The are you talking about I have him on my roster, I think.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I can't remember his name, but he was amazing for a couple of games this season.
Shoot, let me check my IR. Kyrie Williams. Is he really coming back?
Yep, Williams is supposed to be back this week.
Expected to return. Ooh, I might have to put him back on my roster. He's on my IR right now, so I'll have to take him off. But that means I'm gonna have to also
drop
somebody from my team, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Nope, I won't. I actually have enough room because of the other two players that I ended up trading.
Ah, there you go.
So, because I traded 2 players, I gained 2 players, I still have 2 spots left on my roster. So
gotcha. Also, all right, moving along. I don't know how to call this one. I know what I would call it normally, but I don't know how to call this one.
Yep.
Browns at Broncos.
The Broncos are looking better, but the Browns defense is just going to beat the shit out of Russell Wilson. And but the problem is also that the defense of the Denver is, depends on who's playing for the Browns, but if it's DTR, he's going to have a hard time.
Yep.
But you know what? I'm still going with the Browns. I just think that defense is going to make it so hard for Denver to even get anything. Like if they struggled against our defense, and our defense is it's pretty good, but it's not Browns good.
I'll take the Broncos only because I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair, and I do not think that the Browns are going to be able to move the ball consistently enough. I think it's going to be like a 6-3 game.
Yeah, I was going to say I say the same thing in reverse with just the Browns having the slight edge. Basically, like
easy pick this time. Chiefs at Raiders.
I mean, why are you asking me then? Like, you know what I'm gonna say. It's not the Raiders.
Bills at Eagles.
The Bills did have a good bounce back, but it's the Eagles, so that's too much to ask for the Bills, I think, at this point. So it's the Eagles.
Ravens at Chargers. Do we even need to ask?
Chargers have a chance, but the Ravens are just so good this year. So I really don't think so.
Bears at Vikings.
I mean, I'm obviously picking the Vikings. The
Bears
Bears look better, but
I'm still picking the Vikings.
Yeah.
Alrighty, we are locked in, and we have split on 1, 2, 3, 4 games. So we have a potential for a tie again.
Woo!
Or we have a potential for somebody to go 4-0.
That's true. You never know.
You never know.
So we just take a massive lead here.
Knowing us, you never know. All right.
The thing is we both split on like some games that are like real toss-ups though. So it's like it really could come down to who knows what.
All right. Game balls?
Sure, why not?
You can start.
Tank Dell, you get a game ball.
I always have extras because I know you're going to take some of mine. And
That's
he was
fair.
on mine. You know what?
That's fair.
Tommy DeVito, you get a game ball.
I was going to say, that's fair. He actually had a good game. Why not? Calvin Ridley, you get a game ball.
Jordan Love, you get a game ball.
Oh, that's gross to say. I couldn't do it.
It
just feels wrong coming out of your mouth, doesn't it?
I didn't want to. Ugh. Yeah.
Saquon Barkley, you get a game ball.
Wash that down.
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence, you get a game ball.
That's fair.
All right.
Oh, man.
Hit the showers.
Let's do it.
As much as you had a good game this week, and as much as you looked better, your inopportune fumble at the wrong time, Alexander Madison, hit the showers.
Ooh. Well, that was a bad fumble. Because that one fumble by itself changes that game too.
Exactly. Which is why you had a good game. But you also had that thing, so don't let it bother you. Hit the showers, bounce back next week.
Fair enough. Derrick Henry. My guy. 2 weeks in a row? You're in the showers 2 weeks in a row. Get your shit together.
Keenan Allen for dropping a touchdown.
That's fair.
Go hit the showers, my dude.
Zach Wilson. Bro, you need to cool off for the rest of the fucking season. Don't step out of the showers until you're done.
Oh, God, you stole my other one. You stole it.
I mean,
you know what? You know what? CJ Stroud, your first multi-pick game. You didn't look as hot as you could have. You still wound up winning the game, but I think you need to cool down, get a level head. You've got a big game next week.
And my last one, which you could argue goes in the Inferno, but I had other people that go in the Inferno who had to take priority. So Kareem Jackson's going to be here. But, man, stay in that shower for the rest of your fucking life. Don't come out. Don't come out.
I had Derrick Henry on my showers as well. I was tempted to Inferno him, but... All right, Inferno?
Inferno.
You get to start.
All right. I'm going to go in descending order because these are going to get into little ranty rants at some point, I'm sure. So we're going to start out with a new person in my Inferno. They're at the 5th circle, and I'm going to explain why they're in my 5th circle because some people might be like, that person shouldn't be there. They're clearly doing better than previously, and you're right, but I have questions. And so Sean Payton's in my 5th circle, and here's why. You have taken the Broncos and made them a better team. I won't disagree with you on that. But when I look at what your Saints team was before, and it being highly aggressive defenses, as we are well aware of, and then all of a sudden you now have another player on your team who's being highly aggressive and seems to be only being penalized by the league, I have questions about what kind of mentality you're bringing to the locker room. I have questions if that's actually, if that whole thing that we heard about with the Saints way back when,
Bounty
actually
date.
you had knowledge about, that you knew about. And I'm wondering if now you're bringing that same mentality of football to the Broncos. And if you are, get the fuck out. No one wants that shit anymore. No one wants that aggressive mentality anymore because it's dangerous to all the players. You're not just endangering the players that are getting hit. The guy that's doing the hitting is also going to have problems later in life if he keeps hitting like that. Like, it's bad for them too. If that's, and so it's hard not to see the similarities going, oh, this defense is starting to get more aggressive now all of a sudden. It's starting to look a lot like the fucking Saints from before. I have questions about if that's on him or not, and the fact that it's now traveled from one team to the next, it's hard not to see the parallels. It might not be. It might not be on him at all, but it's hard not to see that and go,
I totally agree with you.
So that's why he's here, because I think he actually is a piece of shit of a human. So there you go.
For me, I'm putting somebody new in here. They're only in the first circle because I think they're a little warm right now. And it is Mike Vrabel, head coach of the Titans. Look, I don't think that all of this is his fault, but certainly he's going to wind up being the one to take the fall. At the end of all of this.
Well, he might be to push it onto the coordinators, but we'll see.
Yeah, you're either that or you're going to have to get rid of your coordinators or something. I don't know what's going to happen, but yeah, no, there is something wrong in Tennessee, and Henry is not looking so great, and you just got a new GM, so there's an entire possibility that the new GM will get rid of you to bring in a coach that he wants, and he could use this season as a justification to do so. And if you go, honestly, you'll be without a job for all of 2 minutes. Somebody will
you'll find somebody, yeah.
It's entirely possible that Belichick parts ways this year with the Patriots, and you immediately will get snapped up by Kraft having ties to that Patriots organization. I would be non-surprised at all if that was a call that was made.
Yeah, I would not be shocked at all.
Yeah, not at all. Not shocked whatsoever. But yeah, my guy, you've got to do something to turn this around, and it doesn't look like you're capable of doing that, and I don't think you have the talent to do it unless you find a way to start blocking for King Henry. And I don't know if it's your O-line. I don't know what the problem is, but something is seriously wrong right now, and you need to figure out what it is.
Fair. Okay, we'll go to my next one, and we're gonna jump straight into the 9th circle. We're going up to red fucking hot almost. And the refs are in the 9th circle, and it isn't just for the one game, because that wouldn't necessarily be fair. But the refs this season have been really bad in some ways. Really bad. Missing so many calls that people are like, how are you missing it when you're right there making bad calls? But I'm going to address the obvious elephant in the room and just talk about the Vikings ones, because we both know how bad that first hit on Dobbs was. Everyone in their mother saw that hit and went, why is Kareem Jackson not getting ejected? Why is he still playing? How is this happening? Because as I already talked about previously, which is the preload, was that the refs had to have been notified by the NFL to, hey, watch this player. We already know he just came off suspension. Make sure he doesn't do it again. How in the living hell then can you argue that the refs did not see it when they were right there? Like, obviously I'm not saying generalized you, but just in general, how could anyone make that argument and say that they didn't screw up? Because they absolutely did. They absolutely fucked that so bad. And then there was the late hit on Brandon Powell that was right next to a line judge again, which didn't get fucking called, which was obvious. There was the hands to the face, which we saw, which didn't get fucking called. The only thing that got called, pretty much, was that really egregious passer interference that had to get called because the line judge was right behind him and saw him push him to the floor. I promise you, if he wouldn't have fallen down, that wouldn't have gotten called either. Like,
Sure wouldn't have.
So, frankly, the refs were egregious in this game, and they've been egregious in the past, and we now know that the NFL has told them to pay attention to bad hitters. There is no reason for any of that. And frankly, it's a travesty because, like, they have so much sway in only games that are close, and it sucks. And, like, here's the other problem I have with the refs right now, is that we don't know if they ever get punished for anything. There's no transparency, which makes it, as a fan, hard to go, how can I trust that there isn't some type of rigging shit that's going on? Because there's no transparency to anything going on. And then on top of that, there's been rumors that refs have been betting on games with no fucking penalties to them whatsoever. And if that's even remotely true, that just throws everything into chaos. Absolutely everything.
Billy Donovan. Was that his name? No.
I don't remember.
But there was an NBA guy.
Yeah.
Donahue.
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
Tim Donahue.
Like,
yeah.
Like, and here's the thing. I don't necessarily blame it entirely on the refs. And we'll get to that in a second. But, like, there is definitely some major bad reffing. And I think there's bad apples in that basket that you need to find out how to get rid of and bring in better people. Because there's obviously some people who should not be reffing. And it makes you wonder. And then on top of that, we had that whole thing earlier in the year where one of the crew members for an Eagles game lived in fucking Philadelphia for most of his life. Like, how is that okay? We shouldn't be allowing that either. Like, that's obviously a conflict of interest. It just is. Even if he comes out and claims that he wasn't a quote-unquote Eagles fan, you lived in Philadelphia, you love football. It's hard not to say you didn't probably like the Eagles. Like, it's hard not to, right? And so, even if it's not true, it still brings up the question of maybe, though. And you should be, as the NFL, eliminating the even maybes. Like, you don't even want that to be a consideration whatsoever, especially in a competitive game like this.
100%.
So, you know, because of that, I just had to throw the refs in here, just because, like, they had that egregious game this year, or this game last on Sunday, and then they had earlier bad stuff, and it's just, they keep getting worse and worse, and I have to. There's a point where I just can't do it anymore. But surprisingly enough, as you know, I'm going in descending order. They're in my 9th, so who the fuck's in my 10th? And we'll get to that.
All right, moving along for me. We're going to drop all the way to the 7th. Initially, this player was in the 5th circle. But then I found out he lost his starting job and got demoted all the way down to 3rd string. Zach Wilson, you are in the 7th circle. You were in the 5th, about to be like, you cannot screw this up anymore. You have now screwed up well enough that everything around you is on fire, and you just better hope that you can keep your job, because you can't stay on the team even. Because at this point, they're looking at cutting you.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you want to sit behind Aaron Rodgers and learn? You might not be able to do that next year, bro.
Yeah, you have looked really bad. So, you might not have that choice. Mm-hmm. Tim Boyle is going to start this week. We'll see if he's any good. And if not, it's entirely possible that the Jets will draft another quarterback to sit behind Rodgers for a season and learn.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is a quarterback-rich draft, so they have that option.
Yep. Exactly. All right. Now, obviously, I have finally put somebody in my 10th circle. This is the first time I've put anyone in my 10th circle where they're a flaming pile of dog shit. And I'm going to explain why. But it's the NFL. The NFL is in my 10th circle. The NFL as an organization is in my 10th circle. And I'll tell you why. The refs were bad. The NFL can fix it and refuses to do so. They know how to fix it, and it's really easy. Right now, the refs aren't employees of the NFL. They're part-timers that are contracted. You know how you fix that fucking problem? You make them full-time employees. Now you have control. Now you can dictate more. You have more opportunities to be able to go, hey, They're going to get paid more money, so they don't necessarily need to go bet on games anymore because they don't need to have that. Hey, these guys that are part-timers, guess what? Most of them have other part-time jobs too. They try to make enough money. They don't have to do that anymore, so you bring them in as a full-timers when you do that. Then you can also train them the way you want them to be trained. Then you know that they're exactly adhered to the exact protocols that you want. You can fix it, but you refuse to do it because you are grubby motherfuckers who want your goddamn monies. And that's why they're in my 10th circle. Because as much as the rest piss me off, the NFL can fix this reffing issue, and they refuse to do it.
You'd also have to... Now. The thing is, you also have to check that with the refs have a union.
They do, but I think if they offered them like full time in bennies, the union would be over the moon with them.
Oh, I agree with you. I think that would be awesome. And even if it wasn't for all refs, but I would make the head of every crew, the guy who
at least the head, yeah.
Yeah, the guy in the white hat that makes all the calls on TV, that motherfucker at the very least should be full time, and you should have a plethora of those guys who then they get their crew and they can train their crew before the season.
They can train their crew.
Yeah,
exactly.
They know all the new rule changes. They know what to look for. They know what they can do. These are guys that the other people can count on. Blah blah blah. But you don't have that.
And then on top of that, when the NFL then has them as employees, then they can be like, hey, this person screwed up, and we're gonna tell you that this person screwed up, because they'll now have that ability because they'll be actually employees.
And like I said, I was going to let you have both Jackson and the refs this week, and you lampooned the NFL for me. So I don't have to do any of that, which is why I only have one person left, and he's also in the 7th circle. I haven't moved into my 10th yet, but God, did I want to. I just couldn't do it just yet. Brandon Staley, welcome to the 7th circle. Good sir, you're done. If you have another game like that, I'm moving you to the 10th, and if they don't fire you, I'll probably throw the entire Chargers organization and management in there with you. Because you don't deserve to be a head coach anymore.
Not this rate, man.
And who was it? I don't remember, but somebody said that Brandon Staley needs to go back to Division III college football and be a coach down there, because that's where he belongs.
Oh man, I don't know.
I don't remember who it was, but I was like, "Oh wow!"
I think he could still be a coordinator. That's a bit aggressive.
That was very aggressive. I don't remember who said it, but I was like, "Oof, wow." Oof. Might have been Rex Ryan or someone, but they're always.
Yeah, I could see it.
They're pretty aggressive. He's kind of an outspoken guy.
He's aggressive with his takes. He always has.
Yeah, but yeah, no. Somebody literally said, "Take him down to Division III. That's where he belongs." I was like, wow. But you have taken apart what should be a very good team. And somehow or another it's not working.
Yeah,
you're not coaching up what I consider to be one of the better receivers in the draft this year.
Which, by the way, I can't believe he still hasn't been utilized at all. He's had only the last 2 weeks that he had any production, and even then it's like, how are you not utilizing? This guy's a big fucker. Let him run down the sidelines and play 50-50 ball. I promise you it'll work.
Or move him into, for fuck's sake, he's a big dude. Move him into tight end.
Well, you don't even have to put him in tight end. Just put him in the fucking slot and let him pretend to be tight end.
Put him in the slot. Let him go over the middle and draw linebacker coverage. And just let him match up there.
Throw it over him.
He's a big guy. He's quick. Or if you put him on the outside, let him go over the top. Now, those cornerbacks aren't going to be able to keep up with him.
No. He's so tall that it's going to be hard to out jump him either. So, I don't know how you're not utilizing this guy. This guy clearly has got talent, and you're just, wasting it away.
Exactly. I don't get it.
Yeah,
so,
I don't get it.
Yeah, that's why Brandon Staley's down in the 7th.
That's fair. I agree with that.
All right. Well, now that that's done.
Potato?
Potatoes?
Potatoes?
Potatoes? I can do some potatoes.
Potatoes?
Potatoes?
You want to go first or me go first?
Since you started the Inferno, I will start potatoes.
Sounds good.
I will start with a tame potato.
Okay.
Maybe the Jets should just take out the rest of the season?
I mean, you're probably right, but we know Aaron Rodgers. He's gonna come back. He's too much of a player. He just wants to play. Now, outside of that, they're basically by the fact that they're putting in Tim Boyle. I mean, they're pretty much already resigning that the season's pretty much done, and they're mostly just seeing that if Aaron Rodgers can still play, like yeah. I mean, they're basically taking at this point. It already is going on. Like, yeah, I'll eat it just because it's like basically what's happening. So, fair enough.
Now, I will say that I came up with that before they came out with the decision to demote Zach Wilson.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty much already confirming that that's pretty much what's happening at this point. All right. Maybe the Broncos will make playoffs?
That's not impossible. They're second place in the division right now. They're a hot team. They're playing incredibly well. I almost put them in my power rankings this week. They keep playing like that. They will.
Fair enough.
Maybe the Cardinals should just keep Kyler Murray?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's not even a question. Like, it's in my mind that this was the time for them to put in Kyler to decide, do we need to draft a QB or is he still the guy we need? He's still the guy they need. They can now use their draft pick for something far more important, which would be like wide receiver, O-line, defense, pretty much anything else.
Yeah.
I think they're golden. I think they still have
there was a lot of
goose.
talk at the beginning of the season. Maybe they should just trade Kyler and get what they can get. Tank out the season and take one of these massive QBs and trade Kyler and get another first-round pick. And
Yep.
They've got 2 first-round picks because they also have the Texans' first-round pick. They've got their first-round pick. They've got potential to do some really good things this year. A cornerback and a tackle or a guard or a wide receiver. Who knows?
A good wide receiver. You never know. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's one of those things. I look at that team and I go, okay, Kyler's clearly shown that he does want to be here and play football still.
Exactly.
And because of that, you don't trade that. You keep it, and then you just take those picks and turn them into wide receivers for him or offensive line for him, probably. Like,
yep.
That's what I would do.
Yep, I agree.
All right. Maybe the next coach fired will be from the Chargers? Mind you, I just said coach. I didn't specifically say head coach.
I
just
care.
said a coach from the Chargers.
Dude, I don't think that there's any question that Staley is the next coach fired. It's either got to be him or Arthur Smith. And I think that's a 50-50 coin toss at this point.
I think Arthur Smith stays because this is only his second year, right? Like, they're not going to... I can't imagine they're going to fire him now.
I don't think so, but I think if he has another year like this, he's toast.
Oh, probably. I agree with that part.
But yeah, Staley's the next coach gone.
If it's not Staley, he's going to try to fire one of his offensive or
he's going to try to fire somebody to right the ship to show that he's serious.
Which is why I said coach and not specifically head coach, because I don't necessarily know if it's going to be him that's going to be fired, but it's definitely somebody from that organization that's going to get fired.
Yeah. All right, now I got one that's pretty spicy. We've kind of touched on it, but not entirely.
Okay.
Maybe, just maybe, the Browns' defense is good enough to drag them into the playoffs?
I mean, I think they can drag them into playoffs. I do believe that. They have a good enough record right now, and I think the rest of their games are doable, that I think they'll drag them to playoffs. I don't think they'll win a playoff game, but I do think that they have enough there to make it to playoffs, I think.
They've got the Broncos, the Rams, the Jags, the Bears, the Texans, the Jets, and the Bengals. They wrap up at the Bengals.
So they have, exactly, so about half those games, they are fairly winnable, and the other half are, they could still maybe do something if the defense is good enough to stop the offenses, but I think that there's a pretty good chance they do make playoffs, but I just don't think that they will win a playoff game, to be honest with you. Like, not unless they go against like another team that just doesn't have a very good offense. All right, and then my final one. Maybe the Vikings will win the rest of their games.
That is a possibility. It's
like, you look at the schedule, it's real, and like the big opponent is going to be the Lions.
Lions, yeah. That's the only one I'm super worried about right now is those last the week 16 and week 18 games against the Lions. Outside of that, I think we can win every other game on our schedule. I don't know that there's anybody else that I'm super worried about unless Browner turns out to be like the second coming of who knows what.
But here's the thing: the only reason I also say that though is the Lions had a little bit of a weak game, but you also have to remember because of coming at the end of the season, Josh Dobbs will have the most amount of time that he could have with this offense.
And we'll
at that
definitely
point.
have JJ back by then.
And we'll have JJ back by
which
then.
Which I do want to bring up real quick. We had thought that JJ has to be back by the Chicago game in order to not miss the whole season. That is not the case. He can be activated as long as I think I said
it's before Wednesday. I think it was a Wednesday.
Yeah, but it was after the Chicago game.
Yeah, it was like 2. It was like 2 or 3 days after the Chicago game.
Yeah, it's something like the 30th or something.
Yeah,
because I think he got activated on the 9th. He was declared for activation, and they have 21 days, which would make it the 30th. Is when I think he has to be active by, which is the bye week for us. So we could activate him before the bye week, take our bye week so that he can still get healthy, and then he can come back the game after that.
Yep. So he doesn't have to play against the Bears. I would like to see him back for that game,
but he doesn't have
because
to.
That would be because that would be an easy defense to play against for him. But he doesn't. He's not ready.
He has also said, "I am only worried about winning real games, not fantasy games for people."
Yeah, because a lot of people kept asking him about, "Look, when are you going to be back?" And he's like, "Guys, stop asking him. He'll be back when he's fucking ready to be back." All right, that's the answer you're going to get.
All right, ready to do some power rankings?
Sure.
You can start.
All right, I'll start with the obvious. My 10th is going to be the Vikings. They did drop 2 spots because they lost, but also because other teams got thrown up there. So, it is what it is. I couldn't drop them from the rankings yet, but they're there. They're at the 10th spot. They're just kind of hanging on like they always do.
My number 10 is also the Vikings, and it's, again, they lost, but they didn't lose in convincing fashion, and they were in it right until the very end. So it would be hard for me to drop them out, and I really couldn't find anybody that I thought would below them that I think honestly would beat them most of the time. Yeah, and because they're still playing well enough to warrant a spot here.
Yeah, there's only one other team I could have put here instead of them, but I didn't really think with where they're going right now that they'll ultimately would stay there for very long, so I decided not to put them in.
Gotcha.
That's just me.
All right.
Going to the 9th, we have the Texans. You're playing still good, but that was a rough game. Let's see how you bounce back out of it. And again, it just comes down to, honestly, the other teams I have on this list are just better, and it's hard to throw them too much higher.
My number 9 is the Jags.
Okay.
Because you had a rough week against the Niners. You came back this week and dominated. Let's see how you do against the Texans. But currently, you've got potential. Just don't. You can be up and down. Just don't go down again.
That's fair. My 8 is the Jaguars. You had a bounce back game, so you got thrown a little higher. I know you put the Texans here. I know you did. So, you had a good bounce back game. Let's see how you do against the Texans.
My 8 is the Texans because there's something about them. I think they're playing just a little bit better football right now. I can't really explain it.
That's fair. All right, my number 7 is the 49ers. They are a little low right now, but you got a good bounce back game, a really good bounce back game. You were a little rough. What?
2 really good bounce back games.
Well, yeah, they had some good games. My point is that they were off my list previously. Now they're on the list and they're at 7th, but there's a lot of good teams above you right now that are just. You had that slip up. We'll see how it goes. And I think isn't it only one bounce back game because they were on a bye previously, dude.
No, they came off the bye last week. Because they faced the Jaguars and then they won again this week.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But that's why they were off my list, though, because I wanted to see them do it again. I wanted to see another. I know that's why they're at 7. There's a lot of teams that are really good right now, man.
Okay. Well, I have them higher up because they were on my list last week. At number 7, I have the Browns. You could argue that they don't belong here. I will argue that they do because their defense is amazing, and I think it's going to drag them into the playoffs. I do see them sinking potentially off the list, but right now, you won. You did only win by 3, but you know what? At this point, I'll take it. You've got to win those close, gritty games anyway. That defense is really good, and, maybe DTR shows you something. I don't think so, but he was really pretty good in the preseason, and if he can find his stroke, you might have something.
Yeah, the Browns aren't even on my list at all. I have no faith in that team. Like, yeah, their defense is good. That's all they got right now. And it's just not enough for me to put them on my top 10. Like, for me, top 10s, you have to be good on both sides of the ball for me.
You're going to be interested to see who you have on your list that I don't.
Yeah, I don't know which team it's going to be because I'm already surprised that, like, I don't know which team you don't have up here because the ones that I have, the next following are all really good teams that I don't know how you don't have them.
All of mine are really good too, but there's one team that
that's what I'm saying. I just don't know
that I still have not put back on my top 10, and I think I know which one you did that I didn't.
I don't know, but I'm going to 6, which is the Dolphins. I got the Dolphins at number 6. They are playing good football. They have come back down a little to earth, but they're still really good.
I also have the Dolphins at 6 for all the same reasons.
Oh, nice. Well, I guess we'll just go to 5 then. 5, I have the Cowboys because they're the fucking Cowboys, man. Like, they're playing so good right now, and it's hard. But the problem is I can't throw them any higher at the moment.
I also have the Cowboys at 5.
Nice.
Exact same
let's go to 4.
Let's go to 4.
4, I have the Lions. They have dipped a little bit from where they were last week.
That's who I forgot.
You didn't put the Lions on here?
I forgot.
Oof. See, that's why the Browns aren't on my list.
That's why
there was too many other good links.
That's why the Browns are on my list. So, last second change, moving the Lions to 7.
Okay. I was going to say that's why the Browns weren't on my list, because there was too many other good teams. I couldn't just...
Mea culpa? I forgot that the Lions existed.
But, to be fair, they have dropped a little bit. Like, that game against the Bears should have been a blowout. You guys should have made that even close. And so
I agree, and that's why they're at 7 for me. That's why I'll replace the Browns with them, but the Browns will fall off the list.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. I forgot the Lions. I was looking at it, trying to figure out who I was missing earlier today.
That's why I was so confused, because I was like, there's got to be one of these big teams up here that you're missing.
I thought you had the Bills on the list, then I didn't.
No.
The Bills don't deserve this list.
The Bills don't deserve this list yet either.
No. So the Lions I will put back on my list. My apologies, Lions fans. For some reason, when I was doing it earlier today, between runs while working, just out the side of my head, and I forgot they existed.
To be fair, most years they don't exist. So
no, they don't. So it's been really weird to keep them in my list all season.
It's been weird to keep them in my list, let alone consistently in my top 5.
My number 4 is the Niners, because they were at 7 last week. They looked really good again to me. They just jumped back up the list because they are fucking amazingly good again. I think Chase Young being on that team is. As long as he stays healthy, this defense is just going to murder people.
Oh yeah, I imagine they'll climb up my list pretty quick here, but they only just got back on my list. Ayuk looks good
again. Christian McCaffrey, Kittle, all of it is back and thrumming at full speed.
Yep.
Number 3.
All right, number 3. Team dropped a spot, actually. So we got the Chiefs at 3. They lost to the Eagles. They get dropped. It's just that simple.
Number 3, the Chiefs. All the same reasons.
Interesting. I imagine we had the same number 2 and 1 then, actually.
I would imagine we do.
My number 2 is the Baltimore Ravens. They are.
My number 2 is the Baltimore Ravens.
They're outstanding. They're nipping at the Eagles for number 1. Actually, they're nipping at them.
The Eagles lose a game, I swear, or have a really rough game, and the Ravens look dominant. They're gonna pass them.
They'll pass them. Like the Ravens are looking hot, especially at the end of this year. So.
The Ravens turned it on at the right
barring
time.
Injuries.
Barring injuries.
I think this is a team that'll probably make it to the championship. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, we'll see and it's entirely possible they could go to the Super Bowl this year the way they're playing.
They could. They very
well could. And my number 1 and yours is the Eagles, Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, you beat the team that beat you last year in the Super Bowl. It wasn't a convincing win, but it was a good win.
But it was a win.
It was a good win.
Especially at the end, because they were trailing for most of the game. They finally had, Hurts finally had a good drive to push down to take the lead late in the 4th. So, hey, they rallied. They managed to still win. They kind of been doing what they've been doing all season, which is making games far closer than they should, but still winning. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. All right. Hockey corner. Hockey corner. I told everybody that I was going to push it because I wanted to research more on Ken Holland. I did research more on Ken Holland, and here's what I've got to say about Ken Holland. So Ken Holland was the president or assistant vice president or vice president of hockey operations or something like that for Detroit the entire time he was the GM. 90, I think it was 96 to 2018. He oversaw 3 different championships with them. The problem is that entire team was already in place when he took over. All he had to do was keep it signed, keep it together, and not screw it up. And the problem was, once they got old and aged out, he couldn't figure out how to put it back together to get it back up again. In fact, they sank to the very bottom of the league and were one of the worst teams in hockey for a couple of years. Then they replaced him because he clearly had no plan how to fix it. And they brought in Steve Yzerman, who had been a captain on those old hockey teams that had won championships. And he has slowly built Detroit back into a contender over 3 seasons. He then became the GM up in Edmonton. Now, the thing is, he inherited McDavid. He inherited Draisaitl. Those weren't his picks. He's only had like 3 picks because he's had 2019. He got there in 2019. Yeah, so he hasn't had that many draft picks, but he has made some trades that have been at best questionable. One of them was bringing in Duncan Keith. The dude was way older. He had a $4.5 million contract as like a 37-year-old defenseman. And it just, you didn't have to take on that contract. They were probably going to jettison him, and you could have signed him for like 1.5. The thing is, he's made some questionable decisions. The Tyson Barrie re-signing, which you didn't have to do, and he did. And then he wound up dumping that into down to Nashville. The Darnell Nurse contract, he's overpaid. I mean, you've made some really bad, questionable decisions, some bad contract signings, and some trades that have made you look like a doofus. You are good at maintaining an already put-together team that can win, which you did with the Red Wings for a decade. You can't put together your own team. You have no clue what you're doing. No clue. None. And I think that's the biggest problem with Ken Holland, is that everybody thinks he's this brilliant GM because he spent time as a director of scouting. But I don't think that he is. I think he's good at maintaining what's already there. He's not a builder. He's a maintainer. So that's going to be my big knock on him, and why Edmonton isn't doing better is you need to get rid of Holland and bring somebody in who can build a team around McDavid and Draisaitl. Somebody who's willing to, go to the wall. Now, they brought in a new coach, and suddenly they are doing better again. They brought in this guy, Knobloch. And they are doing better now. I don't know how much better they're going to be and for how much longer. But I will never say that they're out of playoff contention this early in the season, but it looks like they're already out of playoff contention. But they are a mutant aberration of a team, and stats do not matter to them. Because you have 2 of the most offensively gifted players in generations to come out and do what they do. The problem, and why they aren't marketed more, if you ever look at those guys when they're on camera, their expression is "get the fuck away from me." They have permanent resting bitch face.
Fair.
They look angry, and they're short, and they're not excited, and they just act like jerks the entire time. So you can't market them. But that's why Sid the Kid was so marketable, and Ovi with that giant goofy ass smile every time he'd hit a goal. and now you've got Austin Matthews. So he seems like your like big brother or like a friend of yours. It's just like super chill. Like, hey, bro, how's it going? Hey, dude, what's up? And now Connor Bedard, who's happy and bouncy, and he's the next wave, and the kid, and everything else. Really happy looking dude. Those are marketable people. But the biggest problem with the NHL, unlike the NBA and the NFL, and even the MLB, they don't have a PR department that trains these people on how to interact with reporters and cameras and things of that nature. So it's harder to market. Now, we have said that the NBA is probably going to keep deflating because there's a problem there, and it's a problem of their own making. Cool. The NHL is poised to take that spot, but you're going to have to get some PR in there. You're going to have to start pushing players. You're going to start training them how to talk to the media. You're going to have to start branding them. These are things that have to happen. And if that happens, you'll draw in a crowd of people that cares about hockey. My wife does not care about any other sport. She can't follow them. She's happy enough to know some of the Vikings names when I talk about them and be like, yay, Vikings.
Fair enough. She'll
sit down and watch a hockey game with me. So, that's a thing.
I mean, it's mostly easy to watch because it's just constantly going on. There's not a lot of breakages. Like, it makes it easy to just kind of follow, and the rules are pretty simple of get puck in net.
There are some other rules in there.
Of course.
But the problem is determining
like icing and stuff like that.
When they want to call the rules, just like in football.
Yeah. Like, you obviously have icing, and, obviously you have bad hits, and you can trip people. There's all kinds of different things. But ultimately, the main thing is puck. Get puck to other side of ice rink. Get puck in net. Like, football is kind of simple in that way too, but the difference with football is they have running plays, they have passing plays, there's a lot of different types of penalties. It's just more complicated. It just is more complicated to watch. But hockey is really easy to watch if you don't understand any of the rules, which is, wow, there's a lot of things going on, but who's got the puck and where is it going? Like, that's it. That's all you gotta do. That's why soccer should be easier to watch than it is. The problem with soccer is it's not as entertaining to watch as hockey is.
No, because you don't have two guys that are going to beat the crap out of each other on the pitch.
Exactly.
That's hockey.
And that's also why I think, honestly, baseball is a little boring, and they've tried to vamp it up to try to make it, more entertaining to watch, but it's still not quite as entertaining. And that's why hockey shouldn't be as low down as it is. It's really entertaining and easy for anybody to watch. You don't have to understand almost anything of hockey to know what's going on. Like, you really don't. And yet, it isn't as watched as it should be. That's actually one of the reasons NBA overtook it, is because it, theoretically, really easy to watch. Guy with ball, put in hope. That's it.
But now it's gotten boring because there's no defense and everybody's scoring 140 points.
Well, not just that. You also have constantly more ref interactions and penalties, and there's a lot of the, people taking falls, which is why soccer got boring to watch. It's that everybody faking their falls. That's not fun.
No, it's not. And it's
not
more.
Fun to watch.
It's also more than that of the super teams and everything else. Nobody has. Yeah. That's a whole nother discussion.
It is, but you get my point.
Yep. But that's
why hockey,
that
I
was
think,
my
will
issue
slowly
with,
take over.
Yeah, that was my issue with Ken Holland, and now we've talked about the rest of it. Let's
we kind of went off the. We kind of
went off the rails. Let's do my NHL power rankings. You ready for this?
God, I hope so.
Number 10, Colorado Avalanche. They are 11-6-0 with 22 points. In their last 10, they are 5-5-0.
That's a little rough for them.
That's rough for them right now. They've started coming back just recently, so they may climb again. But right now, they had a rough couple of weeks there. Number 9, welcome to the list, Toronto Maple Leafs. 10-5-2, for a total of 22 points. Last 10, 5-3-2. In fact, they won they got all 8 points out of their international series run, or out of their last several games. Or is it 10 points? Whatever it is, the point is they've won their last 5. They're doing really good now. They're going to continue to climb if they continue to play like this. Number 8, the Winnipeg Jets. 10-5-2, 22 points. And their last 10, they are 6-2-2. They are still playing some really good hockey right now. They are really, like, they're playing a lot better than what people would expect, and their arena should start filling up. Because there was a lot of talk about that earlier this year, but I think they're playing well enough to start filling that arena.
Okay.
Number 7, the Dallas Stars. They are 12-4-1. That gives them 25 points. In their last 10, they are 7-3-0. Again, Stars are still playing really good hockey right now. They are primed to make another run in the playoffs. They're probably going to do quite well. I would not be surprised at that at all. Number 6, the Los Angeles Kings, 11-3-3, 25 points. Last 10, 7-1-2. Yeah, the Kings are just a wagon this year. They are playing really good hockey, and I think they're also going to make a run in the West. There's a bunch of Western teams that I'm like, ooh, they could do it. They could do it. They could do it. Number 4, the Vegas Golden Knights. 13-4-2, 28 points. Last 10, 5-4-1. They've come back to earth since their really hot start to start the season. But they're still a really good hockey team, and they're still winning a lot of games.
Fair.
Number 3, the Vancouver Canucks. 13-5-1, 27 points. Last 10, 7-3-0. They're playing some really good hockey right now. They've got whatever it was that was bothering them for the past couple of seasons. They've got that worked out, and they are just killing it out there right now. They are going to make the playoffs in the West again this year, and they are going to make some noise.
Nice.
Number 2, the New York Rangers. 12-3-1, 25 points. In their last 10, they are 8-1-1. They are absolutely crushing it out there. They are really hard to beat. They took their first loss the other night in regulation in 10 games, which is why they're 8-1-1. They were 9-0-1 until that point. They are a really good hockey team, and they are playing some really good hockey. Unfortunately, there's one team that is playing even better hockey, and we all hate them. They are the Boston Bruins, who are 13-1-3 with 29 points, and in their last 10, they are 7-1-2. It doesn't seem to matter how many people they lose and who retires. They just keep plugging right along. The Boston Bruins have a brand of hockey, and it does not matter who they lose. They just find someone else and go, here! I think the joke is they're going to draft a guy named Ross Boston.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, I don't get it, man.
I'm so sick of the Bruins. So sick of the Bruins.
I am sick of the Bruins, too. Like, oh my God. I was hoping that this would be the year they'd fall off. Nope. They're just like, nope. Bugger off.
God
Bugger off.
It be what it be.
It be what it be. Anyway, if everybody liked this, give us a like, give us a subscribe, share us around with your friends. Let's get our subscriber count up. I doubt that's going to happen, but it would be nice.
It'd be nice.
I don't know. Maybe
you can always hope.
Maybe we should do something if we hit 50 subscribers.
I don't know what we do.
I don't know what we do either.
Dude, I would like to do something for 100 subscribers, but I don't think we're going to get that either.
Like, at 100, we could do... Can't you do a live stream at 100?
Probably, but I don't know what we do.
I don't know. I'm sure we could figure out something by the time we hit 100. That'll be a couple of years from now, the way we're going.
I was going to say, I'd love to live stream us, going through the draft and stuff, but I might have to do that on Twitch, because I don't think we're going to be able to do that on YouTube.
No. We're going to have to record it, but I think we can... we could probably do that on Twitch.
Yeah. Oh, we could. I know how to do it. It's not that won't be that difficult. I just prefer to do it on our YouTube channel if we could, but I don't think we're gonna get 100 subscribers by
what
then.
we'd have to do is stream it live on Twitch and then put up the recording on
YouTube. Yeah. It'd be easier to be able to live stream it to YouTube because then it just makes it a video, so you don't have to.
Yeah, I know.
But I don't think we're gonna get 100 subscribers before then.
Probably not. If we do, if we get 100 subscribers by the draft, we will live stream the draft.
Oh yeah.
I
don't think it'll happen, but
I don't think it'll happen either.
It'd be great, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Anyway, we will say that we hope all of you have a great week out there. Be safe, stay awesome, and as we said last week, even you ladies, stay bearded.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Definitely do that.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Bearded ladies, go away.
No, just like dwarf ladies.
No. No.
Peace out, everybody.